kindly please introduce yourself to the viewers?
Good evening, good evening. I'm Mulalo Nemataheni. I am the founder and president of Empowered Women Book Club, which is an organization that is committed to empowering women, creating a platform that allows them to connect via literature. And we just want an excuse to meet up as girls and talk about books and what we've learned from the books and what we're going to do differently going forward. Thank you.
All right. There's a sound, or is it an echo or something? Is there another device near you? Or maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably my laptop
Okay, no
trying
problem.
to
Thank
join
you.
the party, but let me switch this off.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now I can hear you clearly. So, for those who don't know what Empowered Women Book Club is, what is Empowered Women Book Club and how did you start it?
Empowered Women Book Club is a registered nonprofit organization working for the rights and empowerment of women. We started in 2019 July, and this was part of a action learning project from the Black Management Forum Women in Power program. And when I did that program, the main aim was to say, do something that you will get to share the learnings from this program with some of the women. And for me, in all my journey, there's always been two myths that people speak about when it comes to Black people. Firstly, you're told Black people don't read and Black people don't save money. So I made it my life mission to say these two things I'm going to solve. And when people say Black people don't read, I'm like, which ones? Because the ones that are part of my community are reading. And when they say they don't save, I'm like, which ones? Because even these ones within my community are also saving. So it's all about creating a culture that we can all embrace and a culture that defines our values and what we stand for as a community.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, have you always had the love for reading, or was it just something that started as a hobby and you actually realized that you love reading?
At some point, my mom was a librarian working at a library in the school that she was currently teaching. And I used that as an excuse to get books. And when I was reading those books,
Mm-hmm.
I then fell in love with reading. And I see it as a way to escape and also to explore. So for me, it's always been something that I loved. And when I was still in school, I was that child that will even correct the teacher and say, hey, on page 96, this is what's written on the textbook. Is there someone that has a textbook? So just using that as a way to advance myself and also do well or very well in my studies has also shown me that there is power indeed in reading.
Lovely. So, who can join Empowered Book Club and how does one join?
You simply have to be a woman. So Empowered Women is open to women um, across borders. So you just need to reach out and say, hey, I'm interested in being part of this community. And we know that when it comes to most of the forums, association, clubs, there is always a joining fee that people need to pay, a membership fee, subscription, and all that. So, as empowered women, we said one of our values is inclusivity, where we are saying we don't want to create that as a barrier. We want to include all women. So, you just need to be a woman. You just drop us a WhatsApp and say, hey, I'm interested in being part of this community. We'll add you to a WhatsApp group. You'll get to know about what's happening, some of the programs, the project, and also get to support other women within our different communities. One thing that always inspires me is that women within Empowered Women would even travel across provinces just to go and support each other. And soon enough, we'll be going across borders so that we can also say we are here as empowered women.
Lovely. So I hope everybody heard. And if you want to join the book club, There is no joining fee. You just say, I want to join, and you are added to the group. Your joining fee is you being a woman. So if you are a woman, then you are more than welcome. Mangwenya is saying, why am I not in this group? It is not too late to join. And Irene is saying a good example of how adults impact their children's lives by encouraging reading. Yeah. Okay, so what kind of books are being read in the book club?
At Empowered Women, we read all kinds of books. But this year, the books that we are reading, or I can say in the past 2, 3 years, we've decided to focus on our own local authors. So we've read books from you, Catherine Piri, where you take
Yeah.
us through the journey, roller coaster ride, and we're like, oh my goodness. So we also read self empowerment books. We read books related to business, books related to financial literacy. And sometimes we just read books that take us on an adventure. We also read children's books. Someone was like, why are we reading this book? I'm like, women, we are mothers, we are rich aunts and all that. So we need to be able to share this culture with our children as well. One thing that I love to do, even my brother's kids, they know the things that auntie will buy them is books. So even on their birthday, I bought them books, books from um, our own authors and the children of our own authors, because we've got children who are authors writing books. And when I saw them, I saw
Yeah.
um, them yesterday, and I was showing them a live video from Ubusekile Kumalo in Tingo. And
Mm.
she's looking at this, she's like, I know this person. She's on that book. And that is
Yeah.
the inspiration that we need for a young person who's like 7 year old saying, I've seen this child on that book. And you're like, yeah, this is the author. So it allows them to say,
Yeah.
I can also write a book. I can also do this. So we are just expanding their worlds by showing them something that is relatable, achievable.
Yeah, lovely. So, for those who just joined, we are talking about book clubs, and Mulalo, our guest, is the founder of Empowered Book Club. So everybody is welcome. So to join the book club, as long as you are a woman, both readers and authors are sorry, are allowed to join. I am an author, and I'm also part of the Empowered Women Book Club, and I think I've been there for almost 2 years now, and they have read two of my books. So if you're an author and looking for maybe exposure, if I can call it that, you are free to join and have
And
us read
sales.
your book. Yeah, have your
And book
book.
sales.
Yes, and have book sales. So, what has been the most fun part about being in Empowered Women Book Club?
I think the most fun part for me has been the opportunity to share other opportunities with this woman. When things come my way, I just tell people that I will give you someone who is even better than me. And in doing that, I'm able to just say, hey, check out this person. They can give you what you need. I think my husband just got back. Let me just go and open the garage. I'll be back shortly.
No problem.
Morning, mother.
I think she forgot to mute. Let me mute her. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so to everybody who just joined us, we are talking about Empowered Women Book Club, and it's a book club for all women and the empowerment of women. And I am part of the book club. This month we are reading. Is it I Am Me or is it Who I Am? I can't remember. Sorry, but it is by Busisiwe Ngwenya. Um, she's writing about her journey as a preacher's kid. So that is the book that we are reading this month. Hello, is the book club open to people in the UK? Yes, the book club is open to everybody. The book club is open to everybody. Mulalo, you can turn on your mic. I had muted it.
No
So
problem.
the book club is open to everybody. You read the same book, same time. So we have one book per month. You can read it at your pace. But then at the end of the month, every last Sunday of the month, we have a Zoom review session where we talk about the book and review it. And if it's a local author or an author that is in the group, we get to talk with them and talk about their book. So yes, that is what it's about. Um, so let's talk about Mulalo as a reader. What does reading mean to you?
For me, reading means being able to define the world for what I want it to be. Because when I read, it's either I'm gaining knowledge, either I'm gaining a skill, I'm going on an adventure, or I'm also
Mhm.
connecting to a different world altogether. So, reading also is about choosing to be smarter. Yes, we make different choices, but I think
Yes.
choosing to be smart is a smart move. So that's what reading does for me. And I can boldly say sometimes when I'm attending these things and someone is just talking about things, and I'm like, okay, this is that book. And then when they are giving their speech, they make reference to something. I'm like, I've read that before. I know about that. So now it's not even a new concept because sometimes you find people just blown away by things that are like 10 steps
Yeah.
behind, and you're like, oh, you're still there. So this is the way of saying, how do I elevate myself amongst my peers and also create a world um, that I want it to be?
So Jamin is asking, where do I sign up to join the book club?
I think the most publicly available contacts are my numbers. So I'm not even
Mhm.
scared to say it's plus 27 for those that are outside or zero for those that are in South Africa. So 083 261 0700. And if you're outside, it's plus 27 83 261 0700. It's simply a WhatsApp text to say, hi, Monero, I'm interested in being part of the book club. And then we share the link. And as you join on the link, you'll be able to see on the group description all the 12 books that we are reading for the year. So it's a book a month, and then last Sunday of the month, we review on Zoom. So even if you are in other countries, you are able to join in. We've got people that are part of this community in different
Mm.
continents all together. So when you join and be part of this community, you will see that we are sharing opportunities and we are helping ourselves to be organized because there's some people that are just saying weekend are
Yeah.
for books and then they prefer to read on the weekends. There are others that are reading that book every single day. And every now and then we also do ask, what other books are you reading? Because we don't want to limit it to just one book. So one book is like the bare minimum. But the other good thing is there's also no pressure in our book club. There's people that just rock up in the book review session saying, I haven't read a book since the year started, but by just coming to the review session and being part of this community, I get to learn so much. So there is so much that people are learning. I see someone is
Yeah.
saying, please repeat the South African number. It's
Yeah.
083 261 0700. I'm sure I can also share it on the comments later on. Thank you.
Okay. Let me see if I have any more questions. Okay, no questions. So do you prefer to read fiction or non-fiction books?
Hey, now I want to read everything. I think when I started, I was one of those, young, independent, changing the world type of vibe. I want to read self-help books, books that will give me tips in terms of what's happening here and there.
Yeah.
And then I got introduced to books that speak about our reality, even if it's fiction. And I'm just like, oh my word, sometimes you just need to read this, learn something, or read it and escape, or read it and experience what other people are experiencing out there. Because I think the style that the young African authors write, it's a style that we can relate to. And
Mm.
sometimes when you read, you're like, how
It's-
do they know about these things? The nonsense that we're getting up to. And then now you're reading it in a book and you're like, this is so me, and you also get
yeah.
to know what else is happening. So I read all sorts of books, and now of recent, I am also looking at books that share about the stories of other women that are doing well in life despite all the challenges that we face. Because we might
Mm.
say that, yo, the world is complicated, there's so much happening. But even when it's complicated and so much happening, there is women that are being written about, women that
Yeah.
we can learn so much about. And sometimes when we say, yeah, we need local authors, you know the names that come to mind. And I always stress it to say, when we say local authors, the name that must come to mind should be Catherine Peary, should be the women that are part of this network,
Yeah.
because we are African, we are writing about our own realities. So to
Yeah.
answer your question, hi, yonke insipho yawash.
Noma yini. So what is the one book you haven't read that you wish to read or cannot wait to read?
Watch me reach out to this book.
I cannot see the
It's
title. On my side, it's upside down.
Phases and Phases of Resilience.
Okay. Is it
And
fiction or non-fiction?
it's stories about real people. So a memoir of a special kind. It's by Prof. Um, Malege. And when I opened this book, and I was just like, oh my word, like the stuff that I was talking about reading about people that are making a difference, names that we are familiar with, people that are changing the world. And I was just like, oh my word, I'm going to fist on this book, because sometimes you just see all those people and in different spaces, and sometimes we don't know their stories, but someone is saying, here is a picture of what this person is doing. When I saw the content of this book, I was just like, one day someone will be writing this book. And I know that that someone is all of us in Empowered Women Book Club, because something that we've always wanted to do in the past 2 3 years, when we're like, let's do something, let's
Mm,
share our own stories. But sometimes you just need to read somewhere where it's crafted in a way that it's a book, and you're just like, oh, let's go do this. And the best thing about this book that I saw, you know, when you meet people and you're always asking, which books can you recommend? There is something
mm,
at the end of the book in terms of end notes, where they're making reference of all the books that they have used for research. So there is like a list of books that one can go and buy and read. Sometimes it's books that are there on my shelf, and I'm like, oh my word, how did I get so lucky to be spending just a little bit of
yeah.
money but get even a list of recommended books that I can go and read? So that is the book that I want to read, Phases and Phases of Resilience, a memoir of a special kind by Prof. Diniko Maleke. Someone says this is a feminist book because it praises women in different
Mm.
sectors.
Would love to hear a review from you in the book club. Hopefully, you give us one.
Definitely. Yeah,
Definitely.
we'll invite the author as well to come and share about the book.
Lovely. So, back to the book club. How do you guys choose your monthly reads?
We had this conversation around September, October, the year before, to say, ladies, the new year is approaching. Which books do you want to read? And people make recommendations in terms of books that they want to read.
Mhm.
And then from that list, we say, guys, here's the list. We need 12 books. And sometimes you've got 40, 50 books that are
Yeah.
recommended. And we're like, we need like 12 for the year. But this does not stop you from reading any other books. So even that list, when we share it, we know that it will spark an interest with other people to say, hey, this book was recommended, but it didn't make it to the 12, but let me go and read it and see why exactly people have recommended this book.
Mm.
And we also look at different things. Sometimes we look at what is happening in that particular month so that we put that book there. And at times we also ask ourselves to say, what does the author want? And then we
Mm.
make people choose to say, hey, I want my book to be here in January. And when they give those reasons, you're just like, oh my word, I did not even know that such things exist. For
Yeah.
example, in October, we are reading The Daughter I Never Had by Tammy. And even when she mentioned to say October as where we are looking at pregnancy loss month, I'm like, there is such things. I had no
Mm.
idea. But now we get to learn, we get to put the book there. In December, we are reading a book that's titled A Dead for Christmas. And we're just like, oh my word, these issues of being single mothers and
Yeah.
fathers not being present, and now the child is longing for the child, and now you're getting a date for Christmas. So there is
Mm.
so many things that we wish to learn from these books that we are reading. You know, July, it's always about money because it's National Savings Month. So we
Yeah.
make sure that it's a financial book related to that. But most
Mm.
importantly, we give preference to the authors that are part of our community to tell us that this book, I want it read on this particular month for this particular reasons.
Yeah. So, do you read outside the book club? Do you have a list outside the book club that this is my monthly list or my weekly list? Something like that.
I did, and I'm not done because it's something that always changes. When the year starts, I'm like, okay, I'm going to read these books. These are the books that I'm going to read in the list. But sometimes when it comes to books, it's something that you must be flexible. And sometimes when you're just walking past your bookshelf, a book can speak to you depending on
Mm.
where you are in life. Because there's books that I'm longing to go back to because of the chapters that I'm going through in life. Because there's books that will provoke you, books
Yeah.
that will give you the fire. There's another book, Professional Troublemaker,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just like, oh my word. I read that book and it gave me the fire that I needed. And I'm like, I need to go back. Books like Lean In, where you're
Yeah.
asked, what would you do if you're not afraid? It's books that you always want to keep with you, lead like a woman, and you're just like, oh my word, people say I'm too emotional, and the book says emotionally savvy. So using the things that I'm told are things that I should be ashamed of as a woman, using them as my secret weapons and making sure that I win in everything and lead like the woman that I am. I think those are the books that any given day you would want every woman to read and be reminded of how powerful they are.
Very true. So, for those who would like to join the book club, for example, today, kindly walk them through to what book they are walking into, if I can call it that. Which book are we reading this month, and when is the next review session for those who would love to join the club today after this session?
This is the time where I'm like, let me take out my phone and let's give a Busisi Wengwenya a call, but we're not going to give her a call. So
Yeah.
I just want to say the title of the book correctly because this is a book about her own journey, and it's I'm a PK's. Um, Let me just go to it. It says, I am me, a PK's life, the story of a pastor's kid. You know, sometimes you hold different stereotypes about PKs,
Mm,
pastor's kids. So now she's like, okay, let me write this so that we can read, learn from that as well. So the book review would be happening on the last Sunday of the month. So this month is on the 29th of June. So it's 6 p.m. on Zoom. And the good thing about this book, you know, other books, people have challenges. They'll be like, oh, if we courier this book to Zim or Namibia, then it's going to cost, the courier is going to cost more than the book itself.
yeah.
So this book is very affordable. It's like 60 bucks, 60 rands in rand value, and 120 rand in like in a flip book. So it's a book that is quite affordable. And one thing about where I am based, I'm in Moraga village in Thoyando in Limpopo. And because books are so expensive, we're like, guys, let's buy a book and read it and maybe get two, three copies. And we read and then we share with one another. You'll find a copy being read or three women. And now I'm just like, guys, it's 60 rand, it's a PDF. Everyone is going to buy their own copy. We're not buying a copy and sharing because it's only 60 rand. And it's also
Yeah.
another way of saying, yes, it's affordable this time, but let's teach one another the independence as well so that we can own it, get to understand the process as well. Because the reason why we do not even share PDFs in the WhatsApp group is because we want to support our authors. But sometimes you find a book is like 280 rand, and someone's like, "Oh my word, do I buy that or do I buy a bag of Millie Mail?" And then
Mm,
now this person also want to read, so you're like, "It's okay. We can buy a copy and then read together." And then if there's a need, then we can get two or three copies. You will find that in a month there is like about two or three copies that about 10 women are reading in our community. And
yeah.
that gives me so much joy.
So Simi is asking, I'm a romance writer and I have many romance writers as friends, sorry. Does the club read any romance books?
We love those books. Do I classify Busekile's Kumale's books as romance, or
Yeah.
that is just pure romance? Like there's romance books, and then now we also go extra. So we do read those books. We love those books because sometimes it gives us power, man. It gives us power because you would think that you are going overboard by wanting other things or doing other things, but when you read it in a book, you are just like, this is normal, this is okay. So it gives us the freedom. So we love romance books, and everyone loves a story that has a happy ending, and we want that as our reality. So we would love to read those. Bring your friends and ask your friends to bring their friends.
So I'm trying to look for the list. I think I have it. So I'm just going to read the list quickly for you guys. I might not get the authors correctly, but in January we read The Richest Man in Babylon, and then in February we read The Diary of a CEO. In March we read Zendaya. In April we
Mhm.
read The Family Matriarchy. In May, the month I think in May we read how Europe underdeveloped Africa, right? And then this month June we
Mhm.
are reading I Am Me, the PK's child, sorry, the PK's life, and in July we are reading I Wish Somebody Told Me. Is that it, right? Yeah,
Yes,
and
that's a
then
finance book.
yeah, and then in August it's I cannot even read my handwriting. I don't know what's going on, but I can't remember what I wrote. But
It's
in
there
September,
on the board.
it's I don't know.
No,
I
I
don't
can
know
find it quickly there
how
on
I
the
was writing,
description.
but
So
I'm like, what did I even write? I
in
cannot even.
August is an ode to my mother-in-law,
Okay, it's
Winnie
an audit.
Serobe, a mentorship of love and honor by Gloria Tomato Serobe.
Yeah,
So
and
that's
then
like
in
a
September, yeah,
mother-in-law type of vibe.
yeah, in September we are reading Nomaswazi. In October we are reading The
Mm-hmm.
Daughter I Never Had. In November, we are reading A Fatal Affair, and then December, A Dad for Christmas. So that is our list as Empowered Women Book Club. That is what we are reading. So if you want to join, you can just join and continue on this list. But then in October, there will be suggestions for next year's list. Um, Simi saying I can hook you up with some South African romance writers. It was lovely hearing about book clubs. Thank you so much for joining. Okay, so Mularo, for those who didn't get your number the first time on how to join, kindly walk them through. I think some people are joining as we go. Kindly tell them how to join, where to join, and all those things.
They can find
Thank
me on all the platforms. It's Mulalo Nemataheni, and my number is 083-261-0700. So we are simply creating a global women empowerment movement where we are saying, let's support one another. Let's create platforms and share opportunities. It's always painful when you hear people say, women don't love each other. If I want to hurt a woman, I will use a woman. And but at the end of the day, let's keep advocating for each other. And I always say to the women that join me on my Let's Connect with Mulalo Nemataheni sessions to say, they say if you change one person's life, you have changed the world practically. And I remind them to say, let that person be you. So even on this journey to say, let's advocate for women, let's do this and that, make sure that the person that you're prioritizing is yourself. Change your world first before you can go and change other people's worlds. Most people have seen that it's empowered women. It's intentional to make it women because it's not about women and everybody else. So this is a personal journey. So when you join the book club, don't ask me, what am I going to gain from being part of this community? Define what you want from a network of women that are winning in life, and you will be so inspired. For me, it's the quality of the women that are part of this community. From someone who is taking care of their children at home, someone who's saying, I'm here, I'm looking for employment, and someone who's running a business, running successful businesses, professionals in different spaces, doctors, professors, deans in universities, and people that are authors and people that are just reading and raising the next generation. So everyone is part of that community, and you will find your space and you will be able to fit in.
Thank you so much, Mularo. I hope you got that, Val. And if you want to join, you are more than welcome to join. And also, if you're an author and want to join, you are more than welcome. So, what is the one thing you wish authors wrote about more?
I wish the question was like, what is the one thing that you wish authors do? Um, I'll answer a question that you didn't ask
No
me, but
problem.
I wish authors that we also get motivated to read their work as well. And in terms of the question that you've just asked about what I think authors should write about, authors should write about the realities and the successes and the struggles of women and men and communities, people that we can relate to. If someone writes a story about Catherine Peary and her journey in writing and creating spaces and platform to talk books, then that's something that I want to read about, because that's a journey that will also share about the decisions that you had to make. In one of the sessions, you were like, I do this on a full-time basis. And I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
in my mind, I'm like, awusebenzi. This is umsebenzi wakho. And
This is
this is something that you are doing, you are writing, so this is your craft that we must invest in when we read. And if people write about those things, so that other people that want to go on this very same path can find the courage and also do something similar. And also, similar to this book that I was referring to, there is
Mhm.
people that we know, but we don't know their stories. And sometimes when I sit even with my grandmother, the things that she says, the initiatives that she ran, and I'm like, yeah, the apple does not fall very far from the tree. This woman has been a trailblazer doing things, but no one is writing about those things. So I think writing about things that are relatable and the stories, I'm so excited about our book for all and ode to my mother-in-law, because sometimes we hear about people saying horrible things about mother-in-laws, but there's someone writing about the opportunities, the introduction to business. And I'm just like, oh my word, I wish we hear more about what we are doing well in this life. Thank you.
Yeah. So, what is the one book that you will always recommend?
I will always recommend Home of My Cheese, because it's a very short book,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a book that changes your mindset. It's a book that gets you moving. Sometimes people would say, hey, I don't like reading because books are very thick. You saw the book when I was showing you. And I'm like, hey, I've got a book that you can read. It will not even take you 2 hours, but it will change your world. I gave that book to someone, and then they read it and they were like, oh my
Mm.
word. And now I can say, when there's so much more. There's more books that you can read. So
Yeah.
that's a book that I always recommend, because it speaks about just getting on the go and doing, and not waiting too long to take the next step. So we're always on the move, and sometimes we need to be reminded that we need to do more in order to get more in life.
Lovely. So to everybody who is watching, we are now opening questions. So if you have any questions for Mulalo, you are free to ask. While we wait for the questions, what are you currently reading?
I'm currently reading The Present. Where is that book? It's probably somewhere here in my office. So The Present is a book that's also written by Dr. Spencer, the one that wrote Home of My Cheese, Peaks and Valleys. It's a short book, but it just take you through this journey to say what you're looking for is there, and teaching
Mm.
you about being present, and that what you're looking for, you already know, you've already found it. And sometimes when we learn about these things, we learn about mindfulness, we learn about just being in the space. Sometimes I remind myself and ask myself, what is the most important thing that I must be doing right now? And when I
Mm.
am here, I'm like, this is the time that I've allocated to be here. There's things that need to be done. There's preparations that I need to do for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there's always things that we need to do. But in order to enjoy the current space that we are in, we need to remind ourselves to be
Mm.
here. And that's one thing that I've also used, and it worked for me, even in different relationships where I'm like, I always start from outside, bringing it in to say, there's the world, there's Africa, there's South Africa, there's Limpopo,
Mm.
Thoyando, there's Muraga, there's my house, there's this room that I'm in, there's my partner. This is the time that I'm spending with my partner, or this is the time where I'm reading this book to say, yes, the world will continue. There's so much that is happening, but now I am here. I must focus on what I'm doing now. I must enjoy what I'm doing now. So that's the current book that I'm reading. I like short books. And when I read your kind of books, I like them to be longer because you take us through
Yeah.
a journey where you're like, oh my word, I cannot wait to see what is next.
Want
But
to
it's
know what
different
happened?
things for different times. Yo,
Yeah.
when sometimes I want to go to the back to say, hey, what actually happens? But I sit and I
Mm.
read, and yeah.
Lovely. Fiction is lovely because it's inspired by real life events, and maybe it's not real, but it has that feel that you feel when reading it. You like, I want to know more. I don't care that it's the author's imagination. I'm loving it and I want to know what happens next. That is the fun part about fiction. So, Delight is asking, has a book discussion ever gotten heated to a point of conflict? Did you get that? Sorry.
No, my network was saying I must switch, so I just needed to connect to the Wi-Fi. You can
Okay,
repeat
no
the
problem.
question.
Delight is asking, has a book discussion ever gotten heated to a point of conflict?
As I look away, it's always the single woman and the married woman. When we read books that relate to real life
Mm.
experiences, real life cases, where single women will be like, nah, I will burn their house down. And married women that have experienced that or going through that reality then say, guys, let's hold it a bit. Let's come
Mm.
back to the realities. I wouldn't say it was a conflict amongst us, but it's just a realization that we need to have more of these conversations, more of these engagements. I
Mm.
remember we read one book and then we decided, because in our book review sessions, we do record our sessions and then we share them on our YouTube channel. So Empowered Women also has a YouTube channel where we share the recordings. But in one of the sessions, we agreed to say, let's have another session where we will be discussing, it will not be recorded because it needed a heart to heart conversation
Yeah.
where we are able to say, this is where I am. And how do I move forward? So we've created such a space that sometimes we're just like, yeah, abantu bethu abekho, let's be free, let's talk.
Yeah.
And that aspect, I also saw it 2 years back when we had our first in-person conference in Polokwane, and we had women come from different provinces, and we had this room of a very safe space where we are saying, abekho laba bantu. Let's talk
You
about
can say
our own
anything.
realities.
You can speak your mind.
Yeah, but not to say like it's not even sometimes it's not even relationship things because sometimes we think "Abekola abantu, let's talk," but sometimes it's a matter of saying how do I maintain this balance? And I always
Mm.
give reference to one example that Joyke made. Say sometimes when you get to the spaces, they will ask you, when you're taking work from work and you bringing it home, do you ever
Mm.
take your laundry in an ironing board to go to work? And then you're saying
Yeah.
you're going to do your housework in the
Mm.
office. And it was very practical, something that we can always refer to when we feel like it's getting too
Mm.
much. And you remind yourself to say, why am I doing this? Am I ever going to be allowed? And for me, sometimes when I work myself too hard, because I've got
Mhm.
tendencies of doing that, I see it. I come back and I'm like, oh my word, why am I out there changing the world when I haven't even mopped my house? And those are things that remind me, or the spaces that we create remind me to say, Mulalo, yourself first,
Mm,
your family first, your relationship first. Because sometimes as women, I wrote on my WhatsApp status to say, on other times I've got 99 tabs open and I've managed to bring it back to like nine, where
mm,
I'm literally coping. And sometimes you need spaces where you can discuss those things as women to say, how do we do it? How are other people doing it? And
mm.
that's what helps us to move forward.
Lovely. Delight is asking, is not finishing books allowed in book clubs?
Yes. Is that what it means? I was reading that
Yeah,
and I'm like, what is
DNFing.
that? Oh, do not finishing.
Yeah.
Hey, yes, are creative. So, yes, it is allowed. There's people that will start a book and not finish it, but they always find a way to come to the review session or watch the recording. There's also people that don't even read a book at all. So, we
Enjoy
don't
the session.
put pressure because
Mm,
when people come in, they say, okay, let's join the book club. And then they find out that it is more than a book club. It's sisterhood. It's sharing of opportunities. Is being able to say, "Here I am," because sometimes some people are just going through so much, and sometimes you just need people to say, "We are here as your sisters." So it's not a requirement to finish a book, but most people that do not finish a book, when they come to the review sessions, they're like, oh my word, I'm going to finish it because the book will then take you through the different emotions and the different things, depending on where you are in life. I mean, you can read the same book and experience it differently. But when you hear about how other people experience it, you always want to go and experience it for yourselves. Other people even buy books after the review session by just coming and saying, "Oh my
yeah.
word,
I
I've
love
been
the
missing
session.
out."
Now I want the book.
Yes,
Yeah. Sanalisu is asking, who chooses the books? One individual or it's a combined decision?
it's a combined decision. So, as indicated, we all recommend books to say, hey, this is the books that I would recommend for the book club. And then we put them in a Google form. And then we say, ladies, choose a book. And imagine 40 books, for example, would get recommended to say, here are the books. And then we say we need only 12. So on those 40, then we do on a Google form and we say one book only. You can select
Yeah.
only one. And someone's like, what if I want three or four? And I'm like, select one book.
You
And
can
then
choose
from the
one.
books that have been selected, then that's when we say, where do we put them in on the year? And then that's how we come together with the list of the books that we need to read.
I hope you answered. Do you, Delight is asking, do you know if it, sorry, my English has been depleted. She's asking, I don't know if it's been asked, but how did you start the club?
Okay, so the book club was started in July 2019. I attended the BMF Women in Power program, and on that program, it was a women leadership type of program where it had three sectors: leading self, so that focuses mostly on self mastery, and then leading teams and also leading communities. And one of the things that we need to do as an action learning project to say, now that we have taught you these things, find a project where you will also get to share some of the learnings with other people. And for me, the project that I started was a book club. And even with starting, it was like a simple post on Facebook to say, hey, I want to start a book club. And then
Yeah,
people raised their hands, and then we just got it
started.
going. I did a one-page concept note for my project, bought the first books, even the first book to be recommended. I just posted to say, which book would you recommend? And from the comments, The Alchemist came first. And then that was our very first book that we read. And after reviewing The Alchemist, we were saying, what is this book saying even about women? Because now a woman is portrayed as someone that just sits there waiting for this person who's going to chase their goals and dreams to come back to them. But when we discussed that book, something was turned on us to say, hey, how can we do things better ourselves so that we do not sit here and just wait? Yes, that book would refer to anyone, it could be a man or a woman, but there was also a woman that was waiting for that young man to come back. And that's how we started. So for me, it's always been let's create this community. We read Abu Joyce Meyer, The Confident
Mhm.
Woman, Battlefield of the Mind. We've read Atomic Habits, 5 a.m. Club. We've read all sorts of books and even African authors. Mamnasa, Things Fall Apart. Um, Aba Catherine Piri, Married at 16, Zendaya. We are
Mm,
still reading and we're saying, let's use literacy to literally change our own worlds.
yeah. Pure is asking, is it only hard copies that are chosen or ebooks are allowed as well?
We read all sorts of books. There is hard copies, depending on where or how the book is available. You can read all sorts of books because we've got different preferences. There's people that prefer hard copies, so they go for hard copies, and there's people that prefer ebooks. I'm loving this month read because it's only available as an ebook. It's on Kindle, it's on Flipbook, and it's also available as a PDF. So that's taking people that are saying I'm a hard copy type of person to a more let's get you a little bit out of your comfort zone. So there's that option as well. And there's also audiobooks. So some of the leaders got to introduce us to Audible. I've also taken up a subscription on Audible because you want to read, you want to gain knowledge, but you're saying, I'm a woman, I should be mopping my house, I should be um, taking care of this. Maybe I'm driving stuck in traffic on my way to work, and an audiobook is the best place to say, how do we then make sure that you get to benefit as well? Nami, I don't even have those Bluetooth earphones, but when I put on my earphones, I even send a message to say, hey, I'm listening to an audiobook. So when you call for me, I will not hear you. And then I do
Mm,
what I'm doing. Even if I'm washing the dishes, I've got my book. And the good thing is I can pause, I can go back, and I can
yeah.
make notes if I want to make notes. Because sometimes you can read the whole book. I think there's people that will say, I like to highlight and underline. You can read the whole chapter and not underline a thing. So with an audiobook, you can listen until something says hey, and then you take your notes and then you write it down. So that's how convenient it is. So all sorts of books, yeah, you're free to read.
I'm still yet to try audiobooks. I don't know how I feel about somebody narrating for me. I love to have my own voice in my head when reading. So I'm like, how will I feel when I have somebody um telling me something? I'm like, I don't know.
Depends on the type of book. Sometimes you just need to hear the author's voice taking you through the book itself. But there's other books where you just want to be the main voice. You just want to hear it. And it's always quicker. I think for me, I find reading hard copy quicker
Mm-hmm.
because they go in a pace where yes it's understandable it's but when I'm reading I'm like yeah okay move on to the next one but they I think that's why even WhatsApp introduced times two.
Mm. To fast forward.
Fast forward, yeah.
But Delight is asking how many people are in the book club.
Okay. So, in terms of how many people, we've got a WhatsApp community that has, last I checked, we were 500 and what?
Mm.
536 on the main WhatsApp group. So those are the people that are part of this community. And then we've got provincial groups as well. You can
Mm.
find that there's like 111 women in the Limpopo group. And then there is different numbers. There's more people in the Gauteng group, the Western Cape, the Northwest. And there, we did that 2 years back to say, yes, we've got a national group with all the people that are here. And now let's create a provincial group where people can then organize meetups and do events and activities in their smaller spaces. And someone always asks this question to say, how do you manage 500 people in a WhatsApp group? And I'm like, only admin can post. Um, but we've got days where we open it to say, guys, let's introduce ourselves. Let's share about what's happening in our world. And but the provincial groups are always open. So even if I'm doing something tomorrow here in Limpopo, I can just share to say, ladies, I'm doing this. This is where I'm based. I see there's a question to say, have you had any events so far? Yes, we
Mm.
have had events, um, different places. I remember in Feb we had a vision board party in Gauteng, and I came all the way to Johannesburg. I was just like to my Jolo, I'm like, baby, let's go to Jolo for the weekend. There's a vision board party. And he's like, what else? And I'm like, just that. And then we drove Friday night, slept in Joburg. Saturday,
Mm.
attended the book um, club event, and then slept there. And then Sunday, we drove back. And for me, that was to say, yes, I'm based here in Thohoyandou. Yes, there's women that are in Gauteng doing that. But when available, I do go there and support just to show that we can do that even beyond the different
Mm.
borders. Now, there's more things that are happening here in Limpopo, in Moraga. We celebrated Africa Day. People saw the photos where we were wearing our Venda
Yeah.
traditional attires, celebrating. Even now on June 16th, they're having there's a project of beading, doing those Venda beads. That we put here, here. There's even one they call Makoti, and then there's the satellite one. So if you've seen people wearing the Venda Mimwenda, we always wear that one with the satellite. So
Mm.
we are learning that. And now in June 16, we're saying, let's bring a youth that we can teach this skill to. Yes, 1976, we fought for our freedom, we fought for our education, but now what are we saying to the youth that we have now? There's a skill that we have as women, as young women, having learned, but now how do we transfer that skill to the young people? So everyone was like given a mandate. Actually, bring a young person who's interested. Come, let's teach them so that they can also start their own businesses and also promote their culture as well. So this is some of the events that we do. People go hiking. Mina angiye hiking. Please don't call me. And this, but those
You
that
like
don't
to
mind
call
to sweat, they go
people.
hiking. We do business breakfast where we can just go there and say, ladies, here we are. And people will also know which one is my favorite restaurant where I can have my burger and a drink less than 100 Rand and then get to connect with other women. So we find what is also affordable. And in our project, we've got a GBV project that we run this side. So we do educational workshops. Now we are working towards our conference. We're going to have it in person. So we are planning towards that to say on the 9th of August, let us remember this women and let us celebrate ourselves and where we are. So there's a lot of events. There's no restriction. Someone can just wake up and say,
Yeah.
"Hey, let's do this," and then they are free to say, "Ladies, come, let's connect and have this event."
I hope you are answered, Pure. Do you also do career guidance in schools?
Not yet. We do not do that as yet, but that sounds like something that if someone's like, "Hey, let's do this," we can support. So the rationale or how we do things, which allows us to get things done, is when someone comes up with an idea, then we always say, if you are willing to champion it, then we will support it, because we've had instances where people will say, "Hey, people in this country are um, even using cow dung as pads, or they use, let's collect pads," and then you're like, "Okay, run with it, will support," but they do not want to coordinate. Someone will say, "Hey, there's bullying in schools, let's go speak in schools." And we're like, "Okay, when do we go?" And then they disappear. So now we just say, "Hey, if you've got an idea, we are ready to support." We've had great initiatives where we do engagements around how do we teach our children to read, how do we transfer that particular skill. We used to have a reading club for the girls. It was empowered girls, but there were so many challenges that came with that, because now there's issues that need to involve parents. Now you're dealing with minors,
Mm.
and sometimes it's decisions that should be straightforward, but there's some parents that would not even want their kids to go to university in another province, even when they have applied. And you're just like, "Oh my word, I'm phone, I'm phone." But now we're saying, how do we bring how do we bring these women to be empowered so that they can also have these conversations with their own children and guide them accordingly. So it's empowered women. Yes, we've tried the girls. We've tried having men be part of the book club or friends of the book club. It came with its own challenges. We had a reading club for the kids as a way of saying, let's bring the parents closer. Kids are so excited. They can come through every Saturday when you say, "Come, let's read." But when you say, "Parents, come and support your kids, come and see what they're doing," we're seeing progress. But if they're not coming to the party, we're like, "Okay, we'll support other structures that are focusing on empowering or focusing on assisting young kids to read." But based on the capacities that we have, we want to prioritize ourselves, and then so that we can be equipped to take care of our own kids.
All right. Pure, yes, it is a registered organization, and Sepi and Saneliswe are saying they want to join the book club. Um, I don't know if you guys can do you have pens near you, but I think Mulalo can type her number in the comments, and then you WhatsApp her and say, "Hi, I would like to join the book club." Mulalo, if you can, I think I wrote it
Done.
down. It's
I
oh
don't waste
you
time.
okay, you can just copy it and WhatsApp her and say, "Hi, I would like to join the book club," and she will add you to the group. There is no joining fee, by the way. It's free of charge. So we have 18 minutes left. Do you guys have any more questions for Mulalo before we let her go? Hemjolo is back from work, as she calls it. She calls it Hemjolo. Hemjolo is back from work, so we need to let her go. So, do you guys have any more questions for her? Have you ever thought of writing, Mulalo?
Yes, I have. And I've started already. Um, yeah.
How
So
is
it's
it
one of
going?
those things. No, it went well. It just needs to be given to someone to look at it and then do the editing and then it gets published. But I think with these things, just like how people would say they've got manuscripts and manuscripts, you wait for something to say, hey, let's go.
Mm.
Yeah, because I think I don't know. There's something that's waiting. I've written about different things, and sometimes it's things that even when you hear the topic, you're just like, "Hey, when's unlumped?" So
Yeah.
I've got things that I wrote about that I wish I can publish um, through a what do you call it? A pseudonym or somebody else's name and not my name.
You be
And
like a
I'm just
ghost
like,
writer. Is that what you mean?
yeah, and just how sometimes people would write a book. I think when we read Victor Frank's Search for Meaning, Men's Search for Meaning, he once said that he wrote this thing and then wanted to publish in somebody else's name because there's some books where you're just like, this cannot be one person's story.
Yeah.
And in some of the books, I'm like, there's this that happened to, or with Catherine, and this part should be Mulalo, and this part should be Sanelisiwe. But I know that all these things it's Mulalo. So those
Mm.
type of things where I'm like, how much of myself am I willing to put there on
Mm.
the piece of paper? So I've got those type of writing, and then I've
Right.
got writings about um, a journey of empowerment, more of empowered women. And then I've got books that speaks about dating a married man from different angles and and yeah, and
I'm
sometimes
watching
that
you.
and sometimes that married person is married to you, yeah,
Yeah.
but sometimes we lose that aspect of dating. People know that when it's weekends are from Jolo. So even now, I'm just like, yo, 15 minutes to go. Tembisa.
And go to your journal.
Munye. Yeah, Tembisa Munye. Mm.
Yeah. So Delight is asking, does book talk influence the book club read? Do you know what book talk is? I feel like you are more on
What do
that
you
side.
mean?
I don't think Mularo knows
Nangifaka
what book.
Facebook as in, like the way
So
I even struggle to see how we get live on this thing. Nangihlala kwa Facebook. What's book talk?
book talk is like a book club, but not book club. It's like, what can I call it? Where people review books, like individual people who review books like that. They are called book talkers. So yeah, I don't think your question really
Oh.
applies. Mularo is more
I
on
think those
Facebook.
things do come to the group, but sometimes it's based on books that we are currently reading, where someone will like, hey, guys, see, this is the book that I'm reading. This is what you
Mm,
will find out. This is the
yeah,
journey. Can you believe it? So I've seen clips of that. I just didn't know it's called book talk. But I think this is one thing that we're also pushing our people to get into,
yeah,
because when we have this review sessions, like last month we had Rosani Kashan on the family matriarch, and the ladies that read the book, the way they stood up and explained the book, I was just like, guys, we must start reading and reviewing these books and
mm,
finding ways of capturing these things. And maybe we can be book talks nut, and then we share about the books so
yeah,
that people would want to read the books. But even for myself, when I bump into those clips about a book, I want it and I want to go and buy it, because sometimes you're just walking in a book shop and you're just like, ah, I need to buy myself a new book. Which book?
yeah,
But when you see a book that you have seen someone talk about, you immediately take it and then you buy it. And also it helps because it allows us to buy books for ourselves, eh?
Mm.
There
And
were
there
there
are
were
some
times where
people,
I would say
sorry,
men
you
must
can
buy
carry
us books, but now I say women must buy books for themselves.
on. You must buy for yourself the book that you want.
Mhm.
And talking about book talkers, there are some people who are really good at breaking down books. And even in the book club, you see somebody talking about a book, and you'll be like, is this the book that I read? Because people
Mhm.
experience books differently, and they, you're like, how did we get there? Some people really break down a book and see things that some people don't. And it's very fascinating having to talk about the different angles. Somebody saying, I think this, and somebody saying, I think this, somebody saying, I felt this reading. It's really amazing. So Delight is asking, what is the biggest challenge with being a book club facilitator?
Yo, when they go silent on you, and but it's one of the things that I've made peace with because I've realized that life can get very busy. So when you are working with people, more especially women that are um, moving mountain, paving ways, and changing the world, it gets busy. So it has taught me patience. I was not a very patient person, but by running a book club, that challenge of
Mm,
just fighting between wanting to get things done and people acting like they do not exist, that was a challenge. But
mm.
yo, yes, is a Paul on
Yeah,
the
yes.
WhatsApp because
Yeah.
it's I think people just respond very well to polls because it does not require much from a person. You can just find
Mm.
out, okay, have you started reading or are you still to buy the book? And when they respond, they know these authors. I'm like, guys, if they say they want to buy the book, you go and check who responded and then you inbox them on the chat. You send them the banking details, make it so convenient for them to join. But I think just being able to sustain the book club, it's been over 5 years now. In July next month, we'll be finishing year 6, just being able to keep the fire burning and also the excitement and growing each day. And I think for me that's what makes this worthwhile. Because now even if someone contacts me at, hey, Mulalo, there's a what interview. Not say, hey, I'm not an author, guys. Here's an author. I pass them. There's an event. To come to the event, we'll buy 10 copies of your books. I'm like, I'm not an author. Here's an author. Buy their books. Invite them. Radio interview. This person must go. So for me, I'm seeing this as one of those things where I can say it's a platform where people will say, I want Moraro. And I'm like, no, there's empowered women that are ready to take up what you want to give to Moraro. So that's what keeps me fulfilled. Maybe that's why I haven't written my book.
Not
To
writing.
publish
We
my
want to know what goes on. We want to know. We want to know.
book.
Delight is asking, what's the one book that has sparked a fun and unforgettable decision in your book club?
Unforgettable discussion.
Discussion,
Uh,
sorry. I don't know why I got
I
decision.
I must bring that back to you to say which book.
The one book that has
Catherine,
sparked a fun and unforgettable discussion in your book club. Sorry. Yes.
Catherine, what was fun in our book club as
There's
a
so many
discussion?
books. But this year, I think the most fun interview that we had was having to discuss the family matriarch. by Rudzane. It was really fun having to hear women talk about their stories. I wouldn't say fun as in enjoying people's pain, but it was nice having people to talk about that and open up and how they really viewed the book. For me, I didn't quite grasp it while reading, but when I actually heard people talking about it, I was like, oh, interesting, having women open up about their marriages, how this happened, and you actually realize that we might be reading fiction, but these things actually happen, and there are women who get to a point of unaliving their husbands because of A, B, and C, and it was really a fun discussion. You know, Usually when people talk about marriages and things like that, if you heard me, I always say I don't know how to respond to this because I do not relate, but I usually sit and listen and be like, oh, so this is what goes on. This is how people feel. This is how people react in A, B, and C. And it's always fun to hear from the people that are in it. People who have
Mm.
been married, people who've had children, people who've had abusive partners, things like that. It's
Mm, so
really,
the section that made us cry, it was fun for you. Oh my word. This girl.
I was learning again. I was
I
learning.
cried. Yeah.
I was
That was
learning
the first
because
time I cried in a book club session. Yeah.
yeah, emotions were very high. But for
Mm.
me, when I say fun, it's a learning curve, having to hear people talk about their stories because we are not I am not yet married, and having people share the good and the bad side. And Tejo always comes with the good. I love it. She always says my mother-in-law, my daughter, my husband, this. And then you hear somebody else coming and saying I was in an abusive marriage and sharing how they got out, how they learned from it. It's always fun for me to learn. Not that fun that people are crying, but fun to learn from all those sides.
Yo, 5 minutes, your Joel.
You're thinking about your John this whole time. Well, yeah, but thank you everybody for engaging with us, and thank you Mulalo for telling us about empowered women and opening invitation to all women that are watching. Um, Delight is saying I should release you, and you go to your journal saying you're not here. We are almost
Nakhona.
done. We are almost done. But yeah, we are wrapping up. Thank you so much, Mulalo. And we look forward to getting that book of yours published. Even though it's under somebody else, I will know that it's you as long as I see the word Mjolo. I know this is Mulalo. I will know it's you. But yeah, thank you so much, Mularo. Thank you so much for joining us. You were very lovely. Thank you for taking your time to be here. And yeah, we'll see the new members if they contact you, and we'll see the